Hi folks, it's Nick here. I hope you're doing okay. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to do this walk today because after 2 mega heat waves, it's rained solid for about 2 days, so that's watered everything. But I've managed to get out in the break, so hopefully we'll be okay and won't get drenched. Oh, it's starting to rain again. Now, if you keep up with retro news, you might have noticed in the last few weeks Nintendo have started to flex their muscles, and they've had a go at sites hosting their ROMs and got them to take them off essentially. They threatened one site being sued for 100 million, yes 100 million. They worked out how many of their ROMs they had on their site, how much income they would have been generating, and just come to this figure of 100 million. So the site, getting scared, immediately took those ROMs off. Now if you don't know what a ROM is, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, essentially a ROM is a computer file hosted on a website. So you download that, play it in an emulator, so there's lots of emulators available, Amiga ones, Spectrum ones, Sega systems represent that system, so you load up the ROM and then you can play the game as it was back in the day, so relive memories essentially. Nintendo have threatened legal action on 2 sites in particular, who've immediately removed their ROMs. This has sent a ripple through the ROM website network, and they're all gradually removing all their Nintendo ROMs. Now, one site in particular, Emu Paradise, went a bit beyond that. They removed all their ROMs, Nintendo or otherwise, so you can't download any ROMs from that site now, Spectrum, Commodore 64, so some of these games are over 30 years old, so you've no longer got access to them on these particular sites. And I think more and more are going to start removing more of their ROMs. Am I surprised? Well, not particularly. Nintendo have always been very heavy-handed or overprotective of their own content, up to a point where even if you put up footage of certain games from Nintendo, they claim the ad revenue on it unless you actually be a part of their YouTube network, which is a bit ridiculous because the income from YouTube anyway is very, very low percentage-wise and has been gradually going down, and now Nintendo want a percentage of it. Yes, a huge company like Nintendo, and essentially any videos will be promoting their work, one would have thought, but no, they want, you can't even put up footage of Nintendo stuff without them having a say, which is pretty silly. And now they've gone one further and saying no, you can't download any of our ROMs, which I understand a little bit because it's their own intellectual property rights. It's not really going to affect what I do a great deal. I mean, deliberately, because I don't like Nintendo, the way they act for things. Typically I don't review any Nintendo games, so the Nintendo 64, the NES, the SNES, all of these are popular systems, but I can't risk, when you're trying to grow a channel, I can't risk putting videos up where I take time on and then another company claim all the ad revenue of it, because I need, I don't do this for fun, I need that to basically survive and push things forward. The majority of videos you will see on YouTube are probably through emulation, because the games sometimes quite hard to come by, the rarity are there, and if someone's going to produce hundreds and hundreds of videos for people to watch of the gameplay, it's impossible for them to own absolutely everything. You do have people that do own certain systems and put those up, which is cool. You can't beat the original hardware. So I've mentioned there that Emu Paradise have actually removed all of their ROMs, Nintendo or otherwise. Are other companies going to follow the lead, like Sega and Atari, and get all ROMs removed so you can't have access to any of them? Well, I think it might happen, but not for a very long time, so I wouldn't be too worried there. I think the issue being essentially that for years people played retro games through emulation through these ROMs, and it was seen as a small thing, it wasn't seen as profitable. All the companies were looking at new stuff and didn't really have their eye on retro, but retro over the number of years has actually grown and grown and grown to a point where it's actually been noticed as becoming profitable. You've got systems that people are after, the Commodore 64 Mini, the very miniature NES systems, the Spectrum Next people put money on, the Spectrum Vega, and then the Doom Spectrum Vega Plus. There's an Atari VCS actually underway, so fingers crossed for that, although bits of it look a bit dodgy, haven't had the best build up. But people actually want this retro stuff and they're prepared to pay top dollar for it. So all these things that people were playing for free in the past suddenly comes under the eye commercially. So places like Nintendo and other companies no doubt will want a piece of that action, so stop these companies putting the ROMs in for free and actually generating ad revenue because of it, which is a bit of a shame, but you know, it's understandable. At the end of the day, money counts. I don't think it will ever happen, but the only thing that will scupper YouTube essentially is if every company took an idea like Nintendo and actually banned the footage of their games and wanted a percentage of the money, because then that really would be game over. Can't see that ever happening, but if it does, I do a number of other videos as well, so we've got a bit of another platform to go on, so hopefully it won't happen. If it does happen, it won't be for a good many years. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think it's understandable, or do you think Nintendo are being a bit heavy-handed, or do you think at the end of the day, like I do, commercialism will always come into it, and yeah, and it's someone's protection rights really. I mean, it happened first of all with films being put on for free and then music as well, so it's only understandable eventually it should come to gaming. Been a bit lucky with the rain here today, so in terms of games where the companies no longer exist, like Spectrum, Commodore 64, I think those ROMs will always be there unless the ROM sites get spooked and remove absolutely everything. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but there we go. So let me know what you think about that. I'm going to head off before the rain starts. Enjoy the rest of your day, and more videos to come as per usual. So take good care of yourself, and I'll see you later.
And Jenkins.